So you got your ball python eggs, you've cut them open already, you've had the joy of seeing what's inside that egg. Now what? Today I'm going to tell you all about what I do with my hatchlings, from cutting the eggs through setting them up in the hatchling rack, and then all the way up through first feeding. I'll tell you all about it. We're going to go into the snake room. We'll check out some cool hatchlings and snakes. Stick around. Here we go. What's going on, everybody? It's Adam at Proper Royals. Thank you for joining me here today. We're in the snake room today. It's been a little while since we've recorded a video in the snake room. I kind of like the desk and the lights and all that ambience, but what's better than this ambience, you know? If we've not met before, this channel is called Proper Royals. It is a documentation of my family's journey from ball python hobbyist to ball python business. And we document everything right here. We talk business, money, finances, money and finances is all the same, marketing, strategy, social media, and of course we talk about the snakes, breeding, and all of that. Today's video is kind of like a future reference kind of video. You know, it'll be sort of a reference library that people can check out and search and all of that. And I've had a whole lot of people asking me what to do or what I do with my snake eggs and my hatchlings. You get asked the same question enough times, you go, maybe people need to see it. So I figure I'll make a video. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you do. If you do something different, or if you see something that I'm doing totally wrong, like straighten me out. Let me know. No egos right here. So my first clutch of the year just hatched. If you're thinking that every YouTuber that has a channel about ball python breeding is doing, you know, these otherworldly things, man, this was a pairing of an Enchi to a banana Enchi. That's it. I bought a collection, and the gentleman that I bought the collection from had already started pairing those two together, and I didn't really have any other plans that made sense with that female Enchi, so, and I didn't want to muddy the waters and wonder, you know, get a who's your daddy clutch kind of thing. I just kept pairing them, and let me tell you, the excitement's still there, cutting the eggs, the seeing what you get, seeing how you do with the odds is still there. And these are going to be great pet snakes for somebody or a breeder starting out. And I did hit a super Enchi banana. That's a cool snake. I mean, look, I'm one man, one opinion, but I think that's one of the cleanest looking combos that you can come across. So I was real happy with the clutch. What I do is I cut the eggs, and it's kind of a funny story. I wish I could show you clips of me cutting this very clutch, but this camera that I use is so high-tech that sometimes you forget to set things, and the autofocus wasn't turned on, so nothing focused. The whole thing is just like a grainy fog of soup, you know. Anyhow, so you've cut the eggs. There's plenty of videos out there on that and plenty of debate about whether you should or not. For reference, I cut mine on day 58 or when they first pip. If they pip on 57, which this clutch did, I'll cut them at 57. But that's it. I don't rush it. I don't cut a day early, any of that stuff. Those snakes are going to be there. They're going to be there. If you cut them on day 59, they're going to come out on their own eventually. So I cut the eggs. The first thing I do, but while they're still in the egg, is I actually set up another box that's just on really wet paper towels. I don't like all the vermiculite all over the hatchlings. I know it sounds silly, but I don't know how comfortable that light diffuser grate that I use is on the baby's belly, especially when they got that like nub of an umbilical cord still sticking out. Actually, before they even come out of the eggs, when I've cut them, I move the eggs to a new box with only a really wet paper towel. I put that back in the incubator. I don't put the press and seal back on it. I just put the lid on it. Generally, after you cut, within, 24, 36 hours, they're all going to be out of the eggs. As they come out of the eggs, I toss those things. If you've seen any of my videos before, I'm a nut about bacteria in my snake areas, especially my incubator. Those old eggs, they're starting to rot. as oxygen comes in contact with the albumin or the egg yolk, not the yolk, the egg white, the bacteria start to form and they start to grow and they fester in there, and suddenly your incubator is going to smell funky and all that. Get those eggs out of there. Once they're all out of the eggs, I actually go ahead and pull them out. A lot of people leave them in the incubator in that wet setup, and in that wet setup, continue to spray them down. Keep it damp in there. Make sure it's damp. A lot of people leave them in the incubator until their first shed. Again, that egg white bacteria smell around my other eggs in the incubator. I know they're in sealed boxes. I pull them out. I set up individual hatchling boxes, and I go ahead and move them into the hatchling rack at that point. Once they've all crawled out of the eggs, I might give them another day to just kind of settle all together. But after about, again, another 24, 36 hours of them being completely out of the eggs, I go ahead and move them. I don't sex them at that time. I think they're still pretty fragile. Again, they've got that nub of the belly. I call it the belly button. It's not exactly that, but the umbilical cord. Be gentle with them. Try and do your best to resist all the handling and all that, at least until that umbilicus is gone. And then what I do is I set them up in a hatchling box, just paper towel. I don't give them any cocoa to start off with. Then what I do is my last season, I kind of worked out a couple hacks. I stole a few of these hacks. I figured out a little bit on my own. I use these little restaurant souffle cups like you get for your, side of wings or whatever. These are 2-ounce portion cups, 2-ounce solo cups. You can get them on Amazon, all of that stuff, no problem there. But those little things flip over. You're gonna turn your hatchling box into a pool of water. I learned that last year. I think I stole this from a Justin Kabilka video like a long time ago. I would bet money he doesn't use these now, but maybe he does, I don't know. I stole it from somebody's video and I don't know who to give credit to. I think it was Justin though. In the plumbing section at Home Depot are these couplers. You want the 2-inch coupler, and look at that. It just fits in there perfectly. And these things are like, I don't know, 50, 60 cents. Maybe they're $1. I don't know. But you get these and it gives it a stronger base and the hatchling won't turn it over. So that's the first part of the setup. The other sort of hack that I like is these planter. This is actually a planter. I guess if it were glass, I'd call it a coaster. What do you call that thing in the garden section? It's a piece of plastic. Your pot goes on there, and it's like a water reservoir. I use these, and again, these are $1 or less. This is a 5-inch. This is a 5-inch diameter. What I use it for is a hide. If you have a hatchling rack versus just tubs with no rack, or a tub that you use a lid on, your hatchling rack's gonna be a pretty dark place for them. But I found last year I got a better feeding response the more secure those hatchlings feel. And I found that this really provides a secure place for them. So I just cut out one edge where they could get in and out of, and I put it right on top of the snake. So no cocoa yet for me. Again, other people set things up different ways. No cocoa yet, and I'll leave them in there until they have their first shed. Once they have their first shed, I usually do go ahead and put cocoa in there, and I start to treat them a little bit more like just a regular snake. Keep the cocoa damp. I personally like the napkin under the cocoa. It makes it a little bit easier to clean. And I use a little bit less cocoa. Here in Florida, our humidity is naturally high. I don't need to buffer the humidity here in Florida, so the cocoa is more for the smells. And a lot of people here in Florida don't even use cocoa at all. I know some breeders that don't use cocoa at all. Once they've shed, then it's time for their first meal. Get them that hopper. I think I've only had 1 or 2 ever that do it, but I'm still optimistic. I thought out a couple rat pinkies to see if I can get them straight onto rats and they've never tasted a mouse or an ASF. I like that. But I'll tell you, by and large, my hatchlings, they get an ASF to start off with, and then I'll move them over to rats. But I want that initial first really, really good instinct to get feeding. There's nothing worse than with hatchlings than with a hatchling that won't eat, and then you're down the path of assist feeding and the challenges that come with that down the line. Can be very successful. I had 3 last year out of 15 hatchlings. 3 out of 15 is kind of a high number that I needed to assist feed with, and they all ended up doing just fine. They're doing really, really well. I've still got one that's a holdback. He's cool, he eats well, he's gonna breed for me this fall. Don't get discouraged with the assist feed stuff, but that's a real challenge. We'll talk about feeding hatchlings and a little bit more down the line, but that there today is how I take care of my hatchlings from when I cut the egg all the way until it's time for the first feeding. I hope this video helped you out. Let me know what you think. Did I miss something? Is there more questions, more details you want to know about? All of that kind of thing. You can reach me anytime. Drop me a comment, an email. The Linktree link is down below. You can get in touch with me that way. Otherwise, I cannot wait until I get to see you in the next video. Thank you for joining me today. Keep it right here on the Proper Royals channel. Check out these videos to keep up with everything that we have going on here. Until next time, see ya.